Tonight we'll be opening with the reading of Mishlei, Proverbs chapter 24. Do not envy evil men, nor desire to be with them, for their hearts plots to ravage, and their lips talk of trouble. By wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established, and by knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and mighty is all precious and pleasant riches. Mighty is the wise in strength, and a man of knowledge strengthens power. For by wise guidance you wage your own battle, and delivery is by a great counselor. Wisdom is high for a fool, he does not open his mouth in the gate. He who plots to do evil is called a master of evil plots. The purpose of folly is sin, and the scoffer is an abomination to men. If you falter in the day of distress, your strength is small. Deliver those taken to death and hold back those stumbling to the slaughter. If you say, see, we did not know this, would not he who weighs the hearts discern it? He who watches over your life, would he not know it? And shall he not repay men according to his work? My son, eat honey, for it is good, and the honeycomb sweet to your taste. Know that wisdom is thus to your being. If you have found it, there is a future, and your expectancy is not cut off. Do not lie in wait, O wrong one, against the dwelling of the righteous. Do not ravage his resting place. For 7 times a righteous man falls and rises, but the wrong one stumbles into evil. Do not exult when your enemy falls, and let not your heart rejoice when he stumbles. Lest Yahweh see and it be evil in his eyes, and he turn away his wrath from him. Do not fret because of evildoers, and do not envy the wrong. For there is no future for the evildoer. The lamp of the wrongdoers is put out. My son, fear Yahweh and the sovereign. Do not mingle with those who change, for their calamity arises suddenly, and who knows the ruin of both of them. These also are for the wise. It is not good to show partiality in right ruling. He who says to the wrong, you are righteous, peoples curse him, nations despise him. But those who rebuke the wrong, it is pleasant, and a good blessing comes on them. He who gives the right answer kisses the lips. Prepare your outside work and make it fit for yourself in the field. Then you shall build your house. Do not witness against your neighbor without cause. And do
Can you say it
and do
there?
not deceive with your lips. Do not say, let me do to him as he did to me. I repay each according to his work. I passed by the field of the lazy and by the vineyard of the man lacking heart. And see, it was all overgrown with thorns. Its surface was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. When I saw it, I set my heart on it. I looked and received discipline. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and your poverty shall come a prowler, and your need like an armed man.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Shalom. Shalom. All right. That was good. Sorry about that. I know that I should have just put it full screen on that, but when you it's always a little delay going up and down in that. Who's in the house? We got those of already in the chat room as well. And thank the Father for all of them in that. And we are ready to really get into Proverbs as well. That's one of the things that we were saying we wanted to start off. You know, this time I want to have a guideline. Let me see if I put it up. Yeah, I'm gonna put something up here, and we'll make sure that we'll have enough time that we can even deal. And I think we were talking a little bit before that in Proverbs 24, it could be really a good topic to just slide right into what the rest of the things that we are doing in that. So we're gonna just just kind of express. I asked you guys, I think earlier, to maybe get a couple of scriptures out of that that kind of touch your heart and that you would like to share with all of us, and give us a moment to get built up and all of that. So who would like to dive in there first and see where we going from there?
I'll go first before my
Okay.
brother here
All right.
chooses
Okay.
the scriptures that I chose.
Queens before kings.
So there was two. There was one that really jumped out to me, but this verse 1 and 2 first. Do
Okay.
not envy evil men, nor desire to be with them, for their hearts plots to ravage, and their lips talk of trouble. And I think in these days, in these present days, it's really easy to um, to get lost in that because, especially with social media, and you look at people and what they're doing, and it looks so fun. I mean, for especially for our teens, our children, and people are out there doing whatever, and it just looks like you might be missing out on something. And and so I thought it was really important to really, this really stuck out to me because you have to really be careful about that because it is evil. We don't see the end of them, which comes later in some later verses, because it doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't bear any good fruit. But while they're going, and they're, they might have a lot of money, or they might be wearing all the expensive clothes, doing things that look so fun because we're set apart and we don't do a lot of those things. But we have to think about what the end of that is. They are living their best life now, according to them. And so I think it's really important to keep that in mind, because and their lips talk of trouble, and most of YouTube is full of that. It's full of gossip channels. It's full of all the latest drama that's going on in Hollywood and everywhere else, and it's so easy to get caught up in that because they market it as entertainment. And so I really love this because their hearts are wicked. Their hearts, they turn against each other. Nobody's standing in unity. It's all about what you can gain. And so when you look at it from that perspective, which is very hard for the world because they don't have what we have. And so, when you look at it from that, it's not really anything. Like, it's nothing to envy. And so that was one that stood out. Did you want me to pause before my last one?
No, you may continue.
Yes, sir. And then the ends, verses 30 to 34. And really where it says, when I saw it, I set my heart on it. I looked and received with discipline. And you're looking at that vineyard, you're looking at it being overgrown, you're looking at it, and it's just like it's been abandoned. And it is so easy because I know, I actually had to come out of this, and this is where my heart was, and I'm so grateful, because you're always tired. It's like, oh, I'm so tired. Let me just take a nap. Let me take a nap. I have all these things done, but there was never any rest in the rest. Because as you're resting, your to-do list, your house is getting out of control. Everything that I have to do is just piling up on me. And it's like tomorrow. And it's, my vineyard, is overgrown because nothing's getting done. So now my husband is not getting what he needs. My children are not getting everything they need. My house is getting out of control. And so now, I'm not getting the shalom that I need because now I see my list just, it's overrun. And so this right here, because when I listened to it, my heart just jumped because I remember when I finally had to wake up from that, and I'm like, you know what, I need more discipline. And this is what I meant when I was saying that, like, I need to discipline myself. I need to get straight, and with this no more excuses and accepting the responsibility. That has really, this was just so awesome for this to come out now, because there aren't any excuses. And what I've seen is that as I've set my heart to keep my word and to not make excuses and go ahead and just do what I said that I would do, then even though my body has been feeling tired, I there's still a strength and a push, and I've been getting it done. And so this right here, it just made my heart full. And I know there's so many ways that it can be, seen, but just as a stay-at-home mother, it's so easy for that field to get over, because we're doing everything. We're doing so much, and it's easy to just, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired, and to just make those excuses. And then you get so far behind, and this is where you are, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, the budget doesn't get done, the groceries don't get bought, and then you find yourself out of control. So those were two that really, really gripped my heart and just, kind of caught my attention.
Right. Okay. All right. That's excellent. That's real good. That's real good. All right, brother, you can step up to the plate and take a swing at it. Don't strike out. Don't strike out.
All right, all right. Shalom, shalom. Awesome.
Shalom.
And praise y'all. That was some great stuff. So I actually had the exact same verses.
Oh,
So,
okay. You want to start
but
with one?
but I'm just I have different points, so I'm probably gonna keep the one for sure, verse one. But I'm
Okay.
gonna I will exclude my stuff on 30 because I think sis slammed it on that. Um, but all praise to the Father.
Yeah.
And
Hallelujah.
um, wow, there were a lot of things. There were a lot of things. I love what you just said though, because I felt the same way about that. And in verse one, what really got me, so mine is really a compilation. I feel like V said it as well. There were other answers. The answers to the certain verses came later in this chapter. So for like verse one, where it says, "Do not envy evil men, nor desire to be with them," and then I feel like that also lines up with verse 19 and verse 29. But the answer for me comes at verse 20, where it says, "For there is no future for the evildoer, and the lamp of the wrongdoer is put out." And as far as highlighting that point on envy, what got me is, I don't know if this is true for everybody, but there was like a point in my life where I saw that the people who were doing wrong got ahead. And I was like, man, like why is it that they're prospering? Why is it that their way, they're not getting caught? They're doing all these bad things, and it was messing with me. It really was. And I'm not even just talking about regular stuff. I'm talking about illegal activities, all sorts of things. It was really before my face. And what I ended up getting, it, like I said, the answer was like for verse 20, "For the future of the evildoer, there is no future, and their lamp is put out." So I was like, oh, okay. Over time, the master started to show me that, and what really it came to be is how it'll never be acceptable to do what is twisted because of jealousy. Like just because you see what people are doing and you decide to do likewise, it'll never benefit you. Because for me, it's like they're not getting caught immediately, but it may just look like they're not getting caught immediately, but in the end, it could just be that the punishment is deferred. And when you live in that mindset, it is a place of constant impending doom. You have no peace. You have no peace, and you have to create a mindset that turns this world of chaos, and you masquerade it as if you are all at rest, but you're not. So I just think, as far as the individual that may look at the wrongdoer and think that their way is prosperous, just know that their end is destruction. And the other thing that was really standing out for me. I guess I'll jump on verse 7. Um, there were so many. There were so many in this chapter, but verse 7, for sure, was another one that was really grabbing me. Um, oh, one other thing I left out from what I had just was going over is a brother had said to me, "Is if I know better, then I could do better," and that's the thing about it as well as for you, so you don't have to look at people who are living lawless and think you're going to benefit by doing likewise. But verse 7 says, "Wisdom is high for a fool; he does not open his mouth in the gate." Now that one, that I just it caused this loop. I went down this tunnel about the gate, and there's definitely a lot that can be said about that. But in the Hebraic culture, the gate was your place for advocacy, and it was also your place for judgment. It was a place for you to get decisions made, because there would be shofat there, a judge there, and you'd be able to make your case. So, if someone had a offense or whatever, you needed things to get solved, you would go to the gate. But the thing that got me here was it was saying that the wisdom is high, so that the way, the righteous way, it seems like it's out of reach for the simple and for the fool. And what got me with this was sometimes one may feel like they don't have a better opportunity, so they can choose to do less, or that the good way or the right way wasn't available to them. And for me, this is what some of that might sound like. I call it the coulda, woulda, shouldas. Like, oh, I didn't think. I didn't, and this is the stuff it says, but he doesn't open his mouth in the gate, and this is why, because after you say things like this, the answer is really clear. I didn't think you would answer, so I didn't call because I didn't think you would answer, or it was late, or last time it was, or this is the funny one. I thought it would end up different, or when I was little. This is just the way I am. And I felt like excuses like that really are the stumbling blocks towards becoming responsible, because this environment of being in the gate or needing your decisions made is a troubling environment. But when you're in a place like that, it exposes your motives and your intents. And I feel like what happens in that place is we get to see how we handle the process of resolving things. And if we really can bring a matter to a conclusion and accept our shortcomings instead of coming up with these excuses, we'll find out that there is a better way than the one we've chosen. And sometimes that's shameful. It brings shame. So instead of just accepting it, we come up with these excuses. But I think that if we see that there is a better way, we can choose it and learn it and seek that out and make the changes we need to, so that we can grow and we can actually be wiser for it.
Yeah, excuse me. Absolutely. That was good. The way that you guys really got in there and laid that out. I was thinking again. We the honey. When I seen that, we've been dealing with honeycombs. Hopefully, I'll be able to taste a good one. My son eat honey, and one thing around us is, especially in our culture, was the honey that we had. It was something that scriptures has always dealt with, and for honey, it is good. So that really stepped out and at me, and especially when it said, "In the honeycomb, sweet to the taste." And if anyone has ever had, say, honey, and like I say, I want to endeavor to get into the honeycomb as well. It is really deep. It's to the deep to the fact that I was discussing, with my wife. I said, "Did you know?" And I don't know if you know this, but in the research of things, that honey does not spoil. Now, I don't know if you know that, but they said they had found honey. People said they have found honey over 100 something years or whatever, and it's there and it's eatable. And so that would really make me start digging about the honey and how good it is, right? And I mean, there's nothing like it. There's no sugar, no artificial flavors, no nothing that could compare to that taste, you know, and of the honey. And I'm talking about before the processing of anything, any packages of anything, right? We're talking about that particular honey and how though the ingredients that's in there causes it not to spoil, right? So the honey could be there a long time, and so it's so many. Oh man, it's just so much. And if I think about wisdom and I think about honey, if I think about understanding, I think about honey. I think about something that will not spoil, you know. And I'm so grateful for that. And that's when I was going through that again, like I said, that's where it really, 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 really touched my heart in that. And knowing that our scriptures can always give us something that we can put in our heart, you know. And it's just like the word of Yah. It's just like honey to our lips, you know. And that's the a sweet taste. It's just something about it. It's unexplainable. So those of you that never tasted real honey before, and some of the farmers, they'll get some honey for you. If you ever have a chance, it's nothing like it. It is nothing like it. That honey that you can put on your lips and on your tongue, it's rememberable. It's something that will stay with you. Of course, I have not been, all over, talked to too many people, but I guess I have never, in my short period of, and in my environment, had never really ran into nobody that did not like honey that tasted it. I don't know. What about you guys? Have you ever ran into somebody that don't like honey? Or somebody that tasted it, or
Well, as a person who loves honey, I love honey. I haven't really come across a lot of people that say that they don't that they hate honey, but I would
uh-huh,
say that there are some that don't prefer it if they have another option. Like they'll choose something else.
uh-huh, option towards as like what, sugar or something like that,
Yeah,
the sugar
maybe
cane.
some sweeten their tea with it or their coffee. And I mean, like I just like to eat it from the jar. So I brought some to the assembly a week or two ago, and I offered it to a lot, but not very many were interested in it. I'm not sure if they don't like honey, but it wasn't for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm talking about just a person that has got the real deal, right? And just tasted it, not mix it with nothing, because once you mix it, then it changes the flavor of it, right? Whatever you mix it
100%
with,
raw.
yeah, it'll change the flavor, in that. Yeah, yeah. What about you, Sarah?
I haven't really met too many people who just don't like it. No, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. And I'm not saying that there's none out there. There could be some type of allergic to it. Hopefully not. In that, sometimes people have different allergies and things like that. But I think that if a person really, have maybe know all of those exterior things, then they can enjoy that. And I think that's will be important if somebody have a chance without, like I say again, without mixing it, with other things. If you mix it with other things, then it come out to be it could come out to be a little different in that. I want to see if I can pull up this slide here that we had from last week, and because I just want to just mention a little bit, and then we'll all dive in. And then those of you that are in the also in the chat room, I'm gonna give you a chance to participate. Maybe at the end of this, and you'll be able to get right in here and answer a question in the chat. And I think that'll be something that will really, really be exciting for us in that. So let me see if I can get this up. How many know that Every time you go to do something here, we have this something just a little bit more.
Apple
All right.
products.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, excuse me. Of course, I have to. I'm working the switches, so I'm kind of all over the place here. But we're going to get there one of these days and see what's going on. All right, see what's going on. Okay, if I can do this. We want to talk about it. Now, hopefully, I left off about being excuse, and we have been thinking about what excuses we talking about. Now, the excuse that we are talking about, or that we will talk about, let me maybe I could do this for just the second here. What we will be talking about is that what we blame things for, right? We try to justify what we are doing. So when we thinking about this, I am talking about the excuse there as a verb, as what we doing about when we, don't want to be blamed for something or something that we have come short in helping somebody and all of those things. This is what I am referring to or where I'm trying to go, because you can use it in different languages or different. When I say language, I'm saying different, you could be excused, but we're talking about using excuses for things that we should not do in relationships and all of those things. So those are some of the things that we will be talking about, right? Making excuses have a negative consequences on personal growth and success. So one of the things that can hinder us from succeeding and also growing is to make excuse. When we make excuses, we avoid, and this is important, take responsibility of our own actions, decisions, which prevent us from learning and growing, right? So we avoid something when you want to make excuses, and what we avoiding the responsibility of, right? And so these excuses also can damage our relationship with others. And that's important when it comes to the covenant and when it comes to relationship with one another. You can be a person sometimes that you can be identified in relationships as one that always have an excuse, right? And so we don't want to do that, but we want to be a people that takes responsibility. And then if we take that responsibility, then we can do something about it. So as they may see us as unreliable, right? People see you unreliable and untrustworthy as well. And so when we look at it, when we're looking at excuses, this is where we need to really, really focus in on, because like I said, it could, and it can, and it will. The relationship is difficult to grow in that, right? But whatever our consequences is, instead of the blame game, I think Sarah has said earlier about how we blame things on different in the media, right? How you just going back and forth, going back and forth. I see it all the time, and then they make excuses for why they don't succeed in different areas. One of the things I think we're talking to students, or I remember I was in school, but students often make excuses, right? Why they have not completed their assignments and such, and so we need to know that there is no excuse. And I think that if we really step out in there, that they, claiming that they didn't have enough time. I can't do it. Oh, I just didn't have enough time. Well, that's an excuse, right? That's an excuse. You can do it, you know. And another one is being late for class. I put down class, but it could be work or anything else. Making the excuses like that, there will be no excuse. And I'm going to tighten it up, right? And we'll open it up because maybe, I'm way out there, but there's no excuse why you couldn't complete your assignment. There's no excuse for being late at work, right? In that. And we talking about when I first began here, really making You could say that, oh, I overslept or this or that or traffic or whatever, but there's really no excuse for that, but I own up to it. And this is what I mean by that. I own up to it. Yes, I did oversleep, and that's the reason I'm late. I cannot continue to oversleep, expect to be here on time. So what I need to do is get up early, and maybe I need to be here 30 minutes to an hour before my shift even starts. So that's just the idea. That's the idea. I'm trying to stir the pot up for us, right? And so people always often make excuses in friendship, family, relationship, avoiding taking responsibility for their own action. And then what they do, they hurt others, right? They hurt others. And so when you do that, when you're not taking responsibility and a person that constantly make excuses, then you're hurting someone. And most of all, you start with yourself, but you're always hurting someone. Someone can build a trust mechanism in your relationship, and it can get to be stronger when you own it. We'll use that word. That's an idiom. What we'll say, when you own that, then those are the things that can happen, right? And so we want to make sure that we would rather work with someone who always make excuses. Is that something that we want to do, or someone who takes responsibility? So when that work could be work in relationships, it could be in the community. Who would you rather have to be around? Someone that always make excuses, or someone that take a responsibility? Now that's something that you can look at, and we all should look at. It can be very difficult to serve the Most High when you don't take responsibility, and then you do what we call the blame game, right? Always blaming somebody else for the mistakes, So what we try to do is we try to justification on our actions, right? And so we don't want to do that because of the mistakes that we made. And so if we make a mistake, then own up to it. So whatever it might be. And so what happens is sometimes when we make excuses like that, we make an attempt to control the situation. And then we presenting ourselves better, or presenting ourselves to someone, other words, we don't want them to see the real, say the real us, This is what I do. But when you show me the real you, then I can help you succeed. I can help you to grow in that. And then I can have a understanding, right, in that. Right. So sometimes people, they even have a history of failing to meet expectations, or failing to meet the standards. Sometimes they don't want to hold on to the responsibility, but they want to pass it on. And then that kind of ease the pressure, but sometimes that pressure is there to make us to succeed in what we need to do, to make sure we don't do that again, right? Regardless of that, that we can keep going forth. That's what I want to say. Keep going forth. And so it is very, very important to know that, right? And so sometimes it can be difficult when we make excuses for us to come into, say, forgiveness when we're dealing with one another. It's hard to forgive somebody that's making excuses and then they not owning it. The word that I'm using again, they not owning their responsibilities in that. But what they doing is they making excuses for that. We want to help one another to understand that we need to stop making excuses. Then you will empower yourself when you take responsibility and all of the actions. So let's begin to practice us to be overcomers, and not to make excuses, because you can't overcome when you make making excuses in that, right? So that's very, very important as we begin to walk in this. All right. So and the impact that we have in making excuses sometimes, right? It can hinder our personal growth, and I said it before. But it really really impacts your life. You understand, and so it can prevent individuals from learning from their mistakes and taking right. We have to be proactive sometimes in what we are doing, you know. And it's I know sometimes it's not always possible, but for the most part, that's what we need to do, and that's what we have a desire to do. And so we can take that and embrace that, and have that, to go in our own lives, in that. So I want to open it up, and we'll let Sarah go first so far, on what we have and what does it kind of mean to you. And I know you had a whole week to think about this as well, both of you. What do you think about responsibility, and how can you encourage us to build in those areas?
I love what you had brought up about how it impacts the relationships because, and I think it is very important to be someone who keeps your word. And I have, it just, I guess, experience, making those excuses, over and over and over again. Oh, yes, like you said, I didn't have enough time, or, this came up or that came up, or I'll do it later. And it does, show you as unreliable. And so, you know, and it's hard, like you said, it's hard to build that relationship because you don't know if you can depend, you don't know if you could depend on that person, or if if you're that person, if you if you're not one that someone else can depend on. And then when you're making those excuses and you never accept the responsibility, it's a place that gets, that growth of yourself and the relationship is stunning. And I think it is better, even being a mom, with your children. And it's like, will you just accept responsibility for what you did? Because now we can just move on. We can grow from there. You can go ahead and take what you need to take, learn what you need to learn, and move on. And I think that's important for all of us, when we do realize that we may be that person that may be unreliable, when we realize that we may have done something that wasn't, 100% of what it should have been, then we need to be the ones that just say, okay, you know what, that's what I did or didn't do. I accept this, and now I can move on. There's a place that shows me that, I care. I do care about what's going on. I care about how you feel. And I want this to be something that we can build, we can continue to build. I don't want this relationship to be hindered. I want to be someone that you can call on. And so let me just accept that, humble myself. And I think it does take a measure of humility to say, you know what, I'm wrong, or I did not do that to the best of my ability, or I did not give my full efforts. And I think that's important for us to get to that place, because that's in everything, and it translates over, into keeping the commandments. Am I going to make an excuse why I couldn't get to that feast day? Why I couldn't read my scriptures? Why I could not pray?
Oh man, I think we done froze up.
Oh,
Okay. All right. I think you're back now. I think you froze up for a minute there. You said, "Why I
oh
could
yes,
not pray." I think that's before you froze.
yes, sir. So if I continue making these excuses, I can't even grow in the Father. And I think that just learning to accept those, accept responsibility, in even the smaller areas, they spill out, in every area of your life, and we can continue to grow in every area of our life. So, humbling ourselves, just taking it, accepting that, and just doing what you said you would do, or owning up to what you did that maybe you shouldn't have done, and
Right,
just
right, right.
doing. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that we can, we should, and like you saying that when somebody come to me, and like you saying, you're owning up the mistake versus because somebody most of the time know that you are making excuses. You know, it's always something better that you could do, in that, and we sort of, sometimes being say trained to have excuses in order to go forward in that, you know. It's like I was saying earlier, listen, if I would have got up, then it wouldn't be like this. If I go to bed at night, then I wouldn't be tired, you know, in that. So you have to own that. And then once we own it, then in relationship, then people should be able to see that you making a effort to correct that, you know. So every week it can't be, oh, I should have went to bed earlier. You know, the next week come, oh, I should have went to bed earlier. The next week come, you know, you being honest, you know, I should have. But now the action that we need to take is to make sure that, listen, I don't want to be late. So the proactive, I want to make sure that I get to bed early now, right? You know, so now that we discovered that, then we do something about it, and then we'll make ourselves somebody that's, you know, somebody that's on time, you know, in that. And because you can be late if I had an appointment somewhere to be at 11 o'clock. uh I have to factor in, and I'm just using this, I have to factor in the fact that, you know, that it could be an accident, it could be this, it could be that, and all that. So I have to give myself enough time. It's okay to get there early, you know, to get enough time to be there, you know, and instead of, you know, waiting to the last minute, then getting there and all, you know, all of this is going on or whatever, you know, I should have left in enough time. And so those of us, we should start practicing and developing these habits and be conscious of what we are doing and how we could be more successful with one another, be more successful on the job, in relationships and marriages or whatever, when we own it up, you know, in that, you know, it's like, oh man, you know, and then it could run in, and I'm talking about somebody that's really deliberately doing this, right? And so, you know, there's some things, if I forgot to take the trash out this week, then I have to take measures to make sure that I get it out next week, you know. And then in this day and time, we got so many things that we can put in our phones and different things. That's somebody to help us or whatever. And to know that, you know, oh, I couldn't take it out because of this, and it was that, and that was this, and that was that, and I really won't get too much of that accomplished. So that's where I'm trying to, you know, stay that in that is the reason I'm making it narrow is because if I don't make it narrow, then we will still make excuses, you know. So the thing is no more excuses. Then that's going to help you to make sure that you learn from that mistake, right? You learning from it. You know, did some things about learning from your mistakes, right? But you're learning from that, and then you going forward without no excuses in that. But people know when you make excuses. You know, what do you think, Sarah? Do you know when people making excuses?
Most of the time, yes, sir. It's
All
pretty
right, but
obvious.
you have, yeah, exactly. And what did you feel about that when somebody made an excuse like that?
It hurts because it's pretty much close, really close to a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
hurts. It's like you just just tell the truth. What
Yes.
what what
Yeah.
really what really happened. I'd rather you just not. Just like you said, accept responsibility is so much better than it's wasting time. Like you're wasting my time, and it hurts because it feels like you're not valued. Your time is not valued. Your resources are not valued. So it kind of hurts.
All right, good, good, very good. All right, my brother, we're going to let you slide in here and go ahead and express some of the things that you feel about and make some, about no more excuses. What are some things you want to emphasize on? Some key takeaways.
So that was real good. I don't even think there is any improvement that can be made on the way that was brought out just now. Um, I guess like there's a lot if I were to speak for myself when it comes down to excuses. It's really, I say for me, when I it's really knowing. I think the best way it was said was if someone was depending on you to do something and you didn't do it, but you didn't just say you didn't do it. By the way, I'm really lagged out, so I don't know what you have in front of you because I'm completely lagged out on my side.
You
Um,
you saying you can't see? Is that what you're saying?
yes, sir.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
just
We
I'm
can.
just that.
Yeah,
If
we
you're
can
if
see
you're
you.
clear, that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay, awesome. But I mean, like, I think that that's probably the most, like, towards the end of Valencia's comments right there. I do believe in even what you said prior about the damages that can be made to people when you, as an individual, or myself, when I've been less than what I was supposed to be.
Hmm.
So if people are required, if they're expecting, and I think that that's a lot of what this has to do. I believe with excuses, excuses are really rooted in a standard or a norm. So there was something that was expected to be done in a normal way or an acceptable social way, and it was done in an unacceptable way or a less than normal way. And it was not in a positive; it was in a negative. And that's where it came from me because I do not like letting those who depend on me down. So if I'm supposed to do something, I think at one point in time, I can't remember, I was expected to do something and it broke me to pieces because, like you said, about even showing up late to the job or something like that. It wasn't on that nature, but it was something very important, and I didn't do it, and it was terrible. It was just a terrible thing. So I'd say the most hurtful, what makes excuses so damaging for me, is not there's two aspects to it for me. There's a difference between not meeting the standard but then also not having something to replace it with, because I know often you would say things about if you have this, let's just say someone has this particular bad trait, they need to replace it with something that's good. Well, if this person is constantly making excuses in this area of this bad trait, it needs to be brought up the good thing they could do instead as well. So I think that that has a lot to do with it. I think the worst part about it is excuses. To me, the worst part is being flippant. And I think being flippant about something is one of the worst ways to handle things, because if something is important to another individual, it should also be important to the person you're interacting with. And I think that's what, for me, if I were to talk about the personal harm excuses do, that's what I feel the most is like if you're less you're too flippant about it, and maybe that's something I know I can really work on, is just being more learning when someone is serious or when someone's concerned, even if they don't voice their concern, and just not responding as flippant, because it really diminishes the fact that they may not be saying it very clearly, but they actually have an offense or they're upset or something has taken place. And my flippant response is downplaying how serious the other person is taking it. I think in our Proverbs today, verse 10 really highlights that for me. It's more along that line. It's just like if someone's depending on you, and in the time they're depending on you, you fall short or you're less than, it really exposes, that you're not able to do, or you were not willing to do, whatever was required of you. And even if you were willing to do it, you didn't do it or you fell short. So it also builds that reputation, like you said. Sometimes people are offering excuses and they have a reputation of excuses now, and that's really a bad way of going. And the individual who's in that way, I think the loving ones of their life should let them know as well. It's not good, that you're constantly offering excuses in this area. Instead, you should do this, or why do you feel like this, or I feel like it can really be exposed. So if a person is in a position of making excuses constantly, I think that that would be a good time, as we say, to powwow. Let's family up and let's help get to the bottom of these excuses so that we can really highlight what responsibilities are being overlooked or how you're falling short. So those are the points that really stood out to me. And like I said, I couldn't add to the way V put it out there. That was golden.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That's
And I got some honey too, in case
huh?
I got my honeycomb.
Oh, you got your honeycomb. Okay. All right. That's good and sweet to us. That's for sure. In that. Let me pull this just a slide real quick, and we are trying to understand some of the reasons that and you guys may have hit on this that I had already had injected into our slide. My slide here is the reasons, why people make excuses in this. What are some of these possible reasons for that? And I look at it when I see that some of these, not the ultimate thing, but some of these includes fear of failure, and then some is just you're just plain lazy, right? And then that's one thing that we cannot do is continue in our laziness, you know. And then if you have, I guess each one of these, even the lack of discipline or whatever, we can each one of these can kind of be by itself in order to be dealt with, and then where, some of the things that I was thinking of is in Proverbs. As we've been going through this, we've been going through Proverbs, all 31, a chapter a day for 31 days. And these are some of the things that jumps out at me when I think about that. And all of these can, if we continue in these things, and as we connect to those things, then we could see where where the failure would come in at. But we need to make sure that we overcome, and I had mentioned this early, and some of the strategies to overcome these habits of making excuses, right? One of these things, we got to have some realistic goals. So they include some realistic goals, right? And we want to develop. We have to continue to develop, right? Our own self. Start with us, right? And that discipline that we need in that, seeking the support, and that's very, very important. Of others, and being understanding, of others, and so sometimes we make excuses, and then somebody else come to us make excuses. Because we make excuses, we are more apt to accept their excuses because I'm one that making excuses. But when we start standing and saying, okay, no more excuses, then we won't accept excuses. Now, one of the things, since I'm here, you can fill in that blank. That goes with a lot of things that's in that. We was talking about being lazy. We was talking about having fear. When I got fear, I accept someone else's fear, right? In that, instead of, I won't be able to help them to release their fear, help them to release that laziness, help them, to be a disciplined person, right? And discipled in that. I can't help them. I can't disciple them in that. So I have to make sure that I continue, to build and build in my own life. And that's what I want to do is, rebuild. So I'm taking responsibility, right, in this conclusion, and I'm doing all that I can, right. I'm taking a day at a time to avoid these excuses. That's something that's crucial that we have to do, right, as a person growing in success. So it's something that we have to do, right, and that way we can release a growth spurt in that, right, release a growth spurt, and then I am going, and I know that we have a delay, right? So I'm gonna put this multiple question up for those that's in the chat room. If anybody's still in the chat room, and I know it's a little delay, and you'll have a chance to answer this, right? It'll be A, B, C, or D in this, and we are going to talk about a little something while I give us a chance to catch up. What could be a possible reason why someone make excuses, right? That's the question, and then you can kind of fill that in, and you can participate in there. Put you everyone that's in the chat, of course, and then maybe you will be watching this a little later. You could do the same thing in that, but I'm gonna bring everyone back, and while they are doing that and want to participate, or if they have a chance, to do that. I want you to. We'll let Sarah go first, and we'll be about ready to close this up. But we came to our conclusion in that, right? Do you think that there's any situation where making excuses is acceptable? Why and why not?
I think that excuses are, I don't know, because when you asked this last week, like, is it an excuse or is it really a valid reason that something happened? So would that still be an excuse, like something that's out of your control, an emergency, something that you just there was nothing else that you could possibly do, like a true emergency. And
Mm-hmm.
so, say,
Mm-hmm.
a child got sick, you had to go to the hospital. Well, then I can't show up, but, so that would be, hey, I won't be able to make it because this happened. There's nothing that I can do about this situation. So I think, true emergencies, yes, something that's beyond your control that you can't, there's nothing you can do, then I think that that's reasonable. But I
Oh,
think that also, not waiting to the last minute to say things or to, don't come after the fact to say, oh, well, yeah, I couldn't do this because, this happened. But maybe, even just in those situations, being considerate and reaching out. So, I mean, yeah, emergencies.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. All right, my brother. What about you? What do you think that? Is there can be a time for excuse or what? Is it acceptable? Why not?
Um, you you're in the questions more. The questions. Um, so it's a bit intricate for me, and I think any person who is seeking to keep it simple, of course, the simple answer is no, but the honest answer is going to be it's going to be like you would tell us, it's situational, because we always have it depends on if you're dealing with wisdom, is it foolishness, and like, do I have excuse for being late for work when I had nothing going wrong? No, that's on me. But I've been in a situation where you've got 2 hours of traffic over an accident. So you were early, you were on time, but there's nothing you can do about it. So what that's gonna, like I said, like, it's situational. So when I'm thinking of keeping it simple, everything that has the answer of no excuse is something you knew to do and you could do it, and you have no reason why you didn't do it and no reason why you couldn't do it. And I think anything that's other than that is going to be an area of ignorance. And in the areas of ignorance, I think there's a lot of explanation that is acceptable.
All right, all right. That's good. That's good, my brother. I
I
think
think verse 12 is what I would lean on for that one.
verse 12 of what
Chapter 24.
of 24. Okay, okay. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. In that, I think that they have responded, and I think everybody got it all wrong, though. No. I think it was good, a good response. Thank you, all of you, for responding in that. And, I appreciate that. It's something that, we kind of like, again, just focusing on here and what we are doing. And I am hopefully that I can be better in the fact that I can work on my excuses as well, because I want to be better among the community, better among the things of the Father. Now, this is very, very important, in this. And I want you to think about this for a minute. How many times this excuse went to the things of the Father, though, you know, as if he did not know that we just made an excuse, right? And I'm talking about in the relationship of things that we say, maybe in our prayer life, in those things, communication to Him, and saying that I'm going to do such and such for His kingdom now, not for somebody else. I'm moving past us, but upward. I'm thinking upward now. Those things that we said, and because we the one that really desired to do something. I said I'm going to do it, and yet it has to do with the things of the Father, right? And then we do not go through with that. Those are the things that we need to really, really look at and develop, because it will hinder us. And then again, I always say grow, in that. And I put in succeed and all of that, but I'm thinking about growth and really, really growing here in that. So the excuses can differ from person to person. I was just looking at my note here and seeing that. It's very, very important, because sometimes what seems like an excuse to me may not seem like an excuse to you. So that's the reason I try to look at everything, all of that. And I don't try to project my ideas of what would be an excuse for you. You have to know what the excuse is for you, right? And then to keep those things going. Because here's another thing I found out that, years ago, people will accept the excuse, and then sometimes they would say, have mercy on my excuse. But you know what that taught me? That taught me that to make excuses, then they will have mercy or pity on me, right? If I make an excuse of that, when they should have been telling me, well, you need to stand up. That's an excuse, And sometimes we not as open with one another as we should be, because sometimes of the relationship. Now, make sure you have a relationship with somebody now. But sometimes we're not as open as we should be with one another. And we should sometimes let them, and help them. That's when I was saying about somebody else getting in on this, helping you to do that. And it makes us better. Sometimes it may not feel good at the time, but, it's like what does, feel good. If you had any kind of operation, I want you to know that it does not feel good. I know they pump us up with drugs, but it don't feel good, right? But the success of that operation comes about, and you feeling good, but there's pain in that. There's pain in childbirth, right? There's pain in that. I think Sarah could tell us maybe, but there's pain in that, right? So, but the outcome of that, the pain is, maybe for a short time with others. I think, my wife was in labor a long time, but for some it's short and whatever. But I guess my point is, once the pain is over, then the joy is there. So sometimes when we in our relationship with one another, it could be painful sometimes. Don't get me wrong. It could be painful. But if we would hang in there and remember that, whatever they're doing is for my good, we would we will be able to succeed in that. Right. Okay. I'm going to glance over my notes here. Did you have any? I'm going to let y'all have a little closing note. Because I think we're at the hour mark here. So any last thing that you want to encourage someone It's really been a power up moment. Just you guys being here was enough to power me up. And then that which you so eloquent put together and explained tonight. Thank you so very, very much in that. So, want to jump right in? Anything, Sarah, since you was leading out?
I'm just re-examining. You say something, you listen to it, you hear another perspective, and my heart is just kind of caught up, and it's like, uh, when you brought it to the things for the Father, that really hit me, and I guess recent things and times and have really brought that to me. Really, really, it hit really close to home because the things that we know that we have been given to do for the Father, putting those things to the side or making them common, or forgetting how important they really are, and just putting them in the same in a bucket with everything else. Like, it's just it's heartbreaking when you realize that you've done that, and but then accepting that, and then moving forward. So that's something that I'm really, really, really holding on to prioritize those things that I said that I would do, for the Father and for those around me, those who I said that I love, those that I'm in relationship with, and keeping that at the forefront of my mind, not letting that be something that, you're excited about in the beginning. Yes, yes, I'm going to do this, but really holding on to that what I say I'm going to do, I need to do. Where I say I'm going to be, I need to be there, and I really hold on to that. There are situations, and it is hard to pinpoint, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. I really, really appreciate you bringing that out, bro. But not allowing that to be something so lax that everything is acceptable. Really, 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 really examining that. Like, was there something that I could have done better? Was there, with the time management, or with the being lazy, was there something I chose over what I was supposed to be doing? Like you said, was that foolishness, or was that really something out of my control? So really keeping all those factors in the forefront of my mind. And I think by the time you finish running through those questions for yourself in every situation, you probably find that you might have had time to just go on and do what you said you were going to do in the and so this has really been a power up for me, because I think it is really easy to forget. And so I just pray that the Most High will help me to remember all that we've gone over in these 2 weeks, and just really help me to stay faithful, so that I can be steadfast in my walk and continue to grow. And I just praise the Most High for everything that's been said tonight, because this has been a power up moment, and just bringing it home to myself, you know. So I praise the Most High. I pray that
Hallelujah.
we all take hold of it, and do what we said, and don't do it if you can't do it, don't say it. You know, I think that's really important. Not being so quick to say you're going to do something, to sign up for something, to volunteer, to be somewhere, and really, really that pause. So I hold that in my heart too, because you don't know, just really pausing. So praise the Most High, and thank you for
Hallelujah.
being here. Hallelujah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, my brother, what you want to jump in there and see if you had something?
Oh, praise God. Yes, you nailed that, sis. That was dope. I really think there were so many aspects towards I think the real heart, like Maury was saying, is like we gotta have that own it mindset. And that when it comes down to me, the easiest area to own it is for what comes out of your mouth. So, like you were saying, if there's something you said you would do and you don't do it, don't make excuses for it. It could sound something like, "Hey, where were you? I didn't go." Like, you know, hey, why didn't you do what you said you would do? I didn't do it. And it could really, like Maury was saying earlier, the relationship aspect of that goes really far. So I say what really builds me up the most is one of my tender spots is you brought up forgiveness, and I think that's one of the things that really helps with forgiveness is this: as somebody is not owning up to what they did, and then they do, it is so much easier to open up that relationship. And it makes me think of the parable of the man forgiven of the great debt. He was forgiven. His excuse was accepted. He asked the master to be patient with him, and he was. And then for some reason, that individual forgot about it and decided to not show that same understanding towards someone who owed him. And I just think when it comes down to those areas, it's a really deep thing. So for me personally, that's what means the most in terms of making no excuses. Do what you say you would do, and when you find out you didn't do it, like you have right here, don't attempt to lessen it. Just own it, and don't try to how can I say, make light of it either. Don't try to be flippant about it. If you said you would do something and you didn't do it, just own it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that was real good. The way that we're going to end this, and I was just going over it. I think not covered everything, but hopefully we can put this in our hearts and then begin to walk this out. Begin to walk it out. I know it can be done, and all of you that participated, we appreciate you so very much in that, and that's one of the things that we let me put this up here. We want to do is to make sure, the things that I have poured out in a way, it may not be so, but the fear of failure be laziness. And then, of course, it was all the above. That's what it was. It was all the above. Hallelujah, all the above. So, all right, we're going to, normally it's part two next week. We will be closing, it'll be 31. So we'll be closing out next week with Proverbs chapter 31, and that will probably end that. We've been doing a chapter a day. I want to see who did it a chapter a day every day. So we'll find out at the assembly. Huh? Who's the one that made it this year? And this is something that we have done every year, and it's always been good. So so grateful for you again to take out time to be here. I tell you, it's nothing like that. So hopefully Jedediah be back with us too as well. He has some tests that he was doing and different things. So as soon as he can get free, he can come back and be with us as well. So in that, all right. So I want to thank you again, and we're just gonna say a shalom to Israel, and then we're gonna close it up. Thank you again. Thanks. Really appreciate it. It couldn't be complete without my brothers and my sisters. And thank you again. I'm so grateful for all of you and all of you in the chat room, all of you that will look at it, and then all of you that may not be in the chat room but still looking at it. Thank you so very much. And I hope that something in there that we said that can help us with no more excuses. Shalom, shalom.